In the first episode of The Devil is a Part-Timer, titled The Devil Arrives in Sasazuka, we are introduced to the fantastical world of Alciel and its enigmatic ruler, the Dark Lord Satan. The story unfolds as Satan, along with his loyal generals, facing off against the heroic forces led by the hero. Ultimately, Satan generals lose their battle and the hero and her forces confront Satan and his loyal second-in-command Alciel, leading to the climax of this war. In the midst of the intense battle, neither Satan nor the hero emerges as the definitive victor. With his armies crumbling and the hero closing in, Satan makes a strategic retreat, opening a dimensional portal that transports him and Alciel to modern-day Sasazuka, Japan. In this unfamiliar world devoid of magic, Satan and Alciel find themselves transformed into human forms. As they navigate their new existence, they encounter the human authorities who take them to a local police station for questioning. Here, Satan, now known as Sasazuka, begins to comprehend the intricacies of the human world by hypnotizing the police officer with his magic. After the encounter with the authorities and learning about the human world, Satan reveals to Alciel that magic does not exist in this world. If any, there is little to none. Satan is the only one left with a bit of magic left. Alciel gives a test to see if magic works, waving his hand in the air, summoning a taxi cab to their location. Jokingly, Alciel thinks this is magic, but Satan denies his attempt. Determined to survive in this foreign realm, Sasazuka and Alciel secure identifications and open a bank account through hypnotization and what is left with Sasazuka's magic. Sasazuka and Alciel then go look for a place to live and find a rundown apartment, calling it their new Devil's Castle. They agree that Sasazuka will seek employment while Alciel, now known as Shiro Ashia, takes care of their domestic needs. Sasazuka embarks on a job search, hoping to find a means of sustaining himself in this new reality. One day, on his way to a part-time job at a McDonald's franchise, Sasazuka encounters a scarlet-haired girl named Emilia Justina at a crosswalk. Showing kindness, he offers her his umbrella to shield her from the rain, unknowingly sparking an unexpected connection. At McDonald's, Sasazuka experiences an unusual earthquake, leaving him briefly perplexed. He faces a dilemma when the fryers break down, contemplating whether to utilize his remaining magical powers to repair them. However, circumstances prevent him from doing so. Despite this setback, Sasazuka impresses his co-worker Chiho Sasaki with his exceptional people skills and catches the attention of his superiors with his dedication and work ethic, ultimately securing a permanent position. Excited about his success, Sasazuka eagerly pedals his bicycle home to share the news with Shiro. However, his path intersects with Emilia once again, revealing her true identity as the hero from their dimension. Emilia's presence raises questions about the nature of their current reality. Sasazuka attempts to reason with Emi, hoping to find a peaceful resolution. However, Emi, consumed by her anger and desire for revenge, ignores his pleas and launches an attack. Their confrontation catches the attention of the authorities, and both Sasazuka and Emi are arrested and taken to a police station for questioning. Much to Emi's frustration, the officer in charge mistakes their altercation for a lover's quarrel. Despite the misunderstanding, Emi remains determined to pursue her mission. On their way home, Emi continues to threaten Sasazuka, but he brushes off her threats with a nonchalant attitude. The following day, Emi, still feeling resentful that she hasn't achieved her goal in defeating and living the same lifestyle as Sasazuka, pays him a visit. As the doorbell rings, Sasazuka and Shiro are puzzled as to who it can be. Emi answers, greeting them as Emi the hero. Shiro is taken aback but eventually lets Emi in after Sasazuka explains her circumstances. As Emi observes Sasazuka's humble and poor life, she shares her own story. She reveals that she and Archbishop Albameya had planned to follow Satan and Alciel through the portal to the human world but ended up being the only one transported. Feeling no remorse for being separated from her partner, Sasazuka reveals his plan to conquer Japan and acquire wealth and special status for everyone to kneel before him. Over the next few days, Emi secretly stalks Sasazuka and Shiro around town, trying to gather information about his true intentions on Earth. Driven by curiosity, and perhaps a tinge of jealousy, Emi confronts Sasazuka during work, needing to speak with him about something important. As they meet after work, Emi asks Sasazuka if he has considered staying in the human world. Unfazed, Sasazuka boldly declares his intention to return and conquer Alciel. Just as they discuss their predicament, a sudden magical attack targets them, forcing them to hastily run away from the attacker. Blaming Emi for the attack, Sasazuka decides to leave for the night. However, Emi surprises him by showing up at his apartment, tearfully explaining that she lives far away and lost her wallet during their escape. Sasazuka, in his casual manner, offers her a place to stay again, leaving Shiro in shock and Emi questioning how she ended up in this situation. That night, Sasazuka receives a mysterious text message from Chiho, a co-worker, warning him of impending earthquakes and seeking his advice. This unexpected message hints at a common enemy, and raises suspicions. Episode 3 begins with national news reporting on the attack involving Emi and Sadao. As the news spreads, Chiho eagerly prepares for her date with Sadao, unaware of the dangerous circumstances surrounding them. Meanwhile, Emi receives an anonymous call at work from the person responsible for shooting at them. The caller reveals that killing both Emi and Satan would be in the best interest of Isla. Later, the police track down Sadao through his abandoned bicycle at the scene of the attack, calling Emi as their only way out of confinement from the authority. Emi is forced to vouch for Sadao's identity, but she also takes the opportunity to warn him about their common enemy. Suspicion grows, and the unlikely duo of Emi and Sadao find themselves entangled in a web of danger. Meanwhile, Sadao and Chiho embark on their date, unaware that they are being followed by a cautious Shiro and a suspicious Emi. Emi, determined to uncover Sadao's true intentions, drags Shiro into a cafe to eavesdrop on their conversation. During the date, Chiho confides in Sadao about her recent experiences of hearing a strange language that she couldn't understand. She mentions that the speakers were trying to contact someone and made references to an impending large earthquake. Sadao realizes that this phenomenon is a magical communication system known as Idealink and deduces that the earthquakes are likely caused by a sonar spell attempting to detect him and Emi. As the date unfolds, a shocked Sadao notices Emi entering the cafe. Before Chiho can confess her feelings to Sadao, an argument erupts between Emi and Chiho, creating tension in the air. Suddenly, a powerful earthquake shakes the surroundings, leaving devastation in its wake. When Chiho regains consciousness amidst the destruction, she reconciles with Emi, who warns her once again about Sadao. Emi resorts to using a sleep spell on Chiho to keep her safe. In the midst of chaos, Emi calls out to Satan, who emerges from the debris in his demonic form. Emi contemplates using her remaining magic to kill him on the spot, but to her surprise, Satan declares that he will help them escape the collapsed mall. As Emi ponders Satan's unexpected act of assistance, she wonders about his true motives and the reasons behind his sudden change in behavior. As Satan continues to use his magic to clear the debris, ensuring the safety of everyone in the mall, Emi finds herself lost in a flashback. The flashback reveals her carefree days with her father on Isla, giving viewers a glimpse into her upbringing before she was summoned by the church for training as a hero to slay demons. Tragically, her father was killed in an attack by Satan's forces, fueling Emi's determination to seek revenge. Back in the present, Sadao informs Emi that Chiho experienced magical feedback from the spell he cast on her father, Inspector Sasaki. They realize that the earthquake was a deliberate attack aimed at their lives. Deepening their understanding of the situation, they both leave with new insights. Emi spends the night at her co-worker Rika Suzuki's place, where Rika shares her personal experience of how human nature can change in the face of adversity, referencing the terrifying earthquake she lived through as a child. The next day, Emi visits Sadao and accidentally falls down the stairs of his apartment building. Sadao attempts to treat Emi's injuries, but his uncharacteristic kindness frustrates her. Emi reveals her deep-seated desire to kill him, driven by her traumatic past. Sadao reflects on his struggle to understand people's feelings until their conversation is interrupted by Shiro and Chiho. Misunderstanding the situation, Chiho believes Emi and Sadao are a couple, which breaks her heart, and she runs away. In the midst of the emotional turmoil, Sadao's landlady, Miki Shiba, enters the scene and advises Sadao and Emi to chase after Chiho. Miki references her connection to the sonar, an idea link spells, hinting at her deeper knowledge of the magical world. As Chiho tearfully walks through the streets, she encounters a mysterious person who manifests black wings in front of startled onlookers. From a distance, Sadao, Emi, and Shiro approach, witnessing the encounter. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the area, and the winged person takes flight. Sadao identifies the individual as his demon general, Lucifer. As the story continues, we see Emi's comrades flying through the gate to save Emi. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Emi confronts Lucifer, questioning how he survived their previous battle on Isla. Sadao deduces that Lucifer was aided by Emi's former comrade, Alba Maya, who had promised to return Lucifer to heaven in exchange for his help. Alba reveals himself, leaving Emi in shock. Lucifer attacks Sadao and his companions, and Shiro takes a hit in the process. Realizing that Lucifer draws his power from negative emotions, Sadao explains to Emi that Lucifer was behind the recent string of muggings in Sasazuka. As the group tries to escape, they find themselves cornered. In a desperate move, Sadao and Emi run away to the crowded Sasazuka station. The bewildered crowd watches as Lucifer seemingly kills Sadao with a magical bullet and destroys the overhead transport bridge. The debris threatens to crush Emi and Chiho, but to everyone's surprise, Satan emerges in his demonic form, using the negative emotions of the onlookers to fuel his magic. He saves Emi and Chiho from the impending disaster. As Chiho observes everything that happens, Emi puts a magic spell that will protect the oncoming attacks. Meanwhile, Satan sets up a magical barrier, rendering all the civilians unconscious and being free to use their full powers. Emi unleashes her magic and engages Lucifer in a thrilling aerial combat. Just as things seem dire, Shiro appears, healed and in his demonic form, joining the battle. The incredible scene unfolds before Chiho's eyes as Satan delivers a powerful multi-layered magical punch, defeating Alba and Lucifer. After the intense battle, Sadao and his companions officially introduce themselves to Chiho. However, the arrival of Emi's comrades from Inte Isla, Emeralda Etuva and Albertio End, through a portal interrupts their conversation. They reunite with Emi and reveal the corrupt state of the church back on Inte Isla. Back at Sadao's apartment, Albertio explains that he intercepted the sonar and idea link spells, which were intended for Sadao. Meanwhile, Satan uses his remaining magic to restore the city and erase the memories of the civilians affected by the battle. Later, at MG Ronald, Sadao explains to Chiho that he has enough magic left to erase her memory, causing her to yell at him in frustration. In episode 6 of The Devil is a Part-Timer, the story shifts between Inte Isla and Japan as the consequences of the Archbishop Alba's false report about killing Emilia, Emeralda, and Albertio are discussed. Meanwhile, Lucifer, now wanted by the police, takes up residence with Sadao and Shiro under the name Hanzo Yurishihara. At the church's headquarters on Inte Isla, a girl reports that Alba's claim of killing the Dark Lord and her allies was false. The church leaders discuss the potential consequences of this information leaking to the rest of the organization. The truth about Emilia and her comrades being alive remains a closely guarded secret. Back in Japan, Lucifer, now going by Hanzo Yurishihara, becomes proficient in using the internet and discovers a rumor about paranormal activities in an abandoned classroom at Chiho's school. Sadao and Shiro decide to investigate, hoping to harvest magic power from the portal that supposedly appears there. That night, accompanied by Chiho, the group enters the school, but they are followed by Emi, who claims she needs to keep an eye on Sadao. Despite their attempts to ditch her, Emi insists on tagging along. However, her presence leads to an accident where she accidentally destroys a science model. Eventually, the group reaches the abandoned classroom, which was previously used by both Hanzo and Alba. Hanzo asks Sadao to retrieve his forgotten PS Vita game console from the room, causing frustration among the group. Hanzo defends himself, claiming that he simply neglected to mention his previous residency. Outside the classroom, we see the same girl who reported to the Church of Inte Isla, indicating that she has opened a portal. Meanwhile, a new tenant moves into Sadao's apartment building, and as Sadao helps her after she falls down the stairs, she loses consciousness.